And I've mentioned the age of these players, but he's in exceptional physical condition. His body probably aches a lot more than it did 10 years ago. But he only needs to play well for 2 games
Yeah.
to win the Ashes. We only need 2 games out of him. We're not looking for a career. We're
Yeah.
not looking for a season. You're good enough to step up for 2 games, definitely. If he's fit enough and he's coming off the bench, hopefully he'll be devastating. He's something different off the bench.
Thanks for joining us on another episode of the Dockhouse Rugby Show. Both myself and Dave are excited to be back because we've got the Ashes series coming up. The first one since 2003. 22 years of wait, 22 years of hurt, Dave, where we've, not had an Ashes series test. We lost the last one 3-0 in 2003. I'm going to go straight from the bat, Dave. What's your prediction?
Oh, we'll win it. Yeah, yeah. I'm very sure we'll win. 2-1. We would have won 3-0 if he picked the correct team. He hasn't, but we'll still win 2-1.
Okay, so we were on for a whitewash had he picked the correct team. Now you say he's not picked the correct team though, Dave. That's quite an interesting um, bat there. What's your thoughts on that then?
Well, he's gone for a very, shall we say, experienced squad of 24 players, many of which are over 30. That's what jumps out at me. When you're picking a squad for an Ashes, and we've got World Cups coming up, and hopefully, if this gathers momentum, we'll have more internationals off the back of it. Selecting so many in their 30s who won't be around certainly in 7 or 8 years, certainly, but potentially even, well, quite a few of them in the next couple of seasons. So that's a bit of a surprise. So you're not building for future. Secondly, are they the right people? If they're getting to that age and they're going to be tested like they've never been tested before, yes, the experience helps, the muscle memory, being in those big games, all of those things help. But surely we've got to be looking at a spread of youth alongside, and I think we haven't got the balance right.
Yeah, I mean, you say about the age. I mean, the 2003 tour, if I'm rightly so, was dubbed the Grandad Tour because they had Darren Lockyer. I think Brad Fittler was still there was, there were a few players about that were an aging squad, and they said that the average age of that squad was late 20s, early 30s, and yet still they managed to chalk up a 3-0 victory across the Test series over Great Britain.
And what the names you're mentioning though are exceptional rugby league players, and yes, we've got some very good rugby league players of our own, but I also believe that we're building and creating more good players who are younger and possibly have more hunger and are ready for it.
Yeah.
Should we have a look at the squad and see how many are 30 or above?
Okay.
So, if John Bateman, 30.
Yeah.
Brimson isn't. Burgess, 30 plus.
Yeah.
Darrell Clark, 30 plus. Mike McMeekin, I think, is 30. Tom Johnson is 30. We've got
Big Al
Alex
Walmsley,
Walmsley,
35.
35. Callum Watkins, 34. George Williams is 30. That's at least eight who are 30
Yeah.
from that squad. It feels it feels like a lot to me. Yes, we've got George Williams, for example, excellent player. He's done well in the NRL. That must have been part of his thought process, I guess. If you can cut it over in the NRL, then you're a very good player, and you'll be prepared for that type of style of play against the Australians. But again, the halfbacks at 30 when we've got other players. We've left out Connor, Jake Connor. Yeah, I'm not sure we've got the balance quite right.
Mm. But he has
I was
got.
picking on the wrong one probably there in Williams. There's probably better examples, but that was just the one I was looking at at the time.
I mean, he has gone for a mix of NRL players or people with NRL experience. Do you think that that will benefit England? Obviously, them having played at that level, a few of them having played at that level, is it going to be an easier in? I mean, I've never played in an Ashes series or an international, but obviously it's the creme de la creme. Everything is at stake. But does it help having people who've played in that regular grade of rugby week in, week out? So we've got Herbie Farnworth, we've got Dom Young, we've got Brimson, we've got John Bateman in there.
Guy Pearce-Paul, Callum Watkins was over there, wasn't he, a while ago? Yeah, it's got to help, hasn't it? That competition is so strong, so full of talent and the intensity, which has been the difference very often in the past, the intensity that they play at. I think in the series you just mentioned 2003, I think I'm pretty right in saying we were ahead in all three games on 70 minutes.
Yeah.
If the game was 70 minutes long, we'd have won that 3-0. It's not that they're better than us, it's just that the game should only be 70 minutes. Internationals should be 70 minutes long, and then we'd have been Ashes winners in our lifetime. And as it
Okay.
stands, we're not.
Okay. On that then, who do you think, which player from England do you think needs to step up the most against the Aussies? I'll put you on the
In
spot there.
you really have, yeah. I mean, in the recent past, we have matched them in the forwards, and at times we've got the better of them in the forwards. But my worry is Sean Wayne gets them pumped up. They go out there looking to knock some heads and get stuck in. They do that, but the Aussies take a bit of a beating in the middle, possibly, but still run round us and score lots of points. That's only part of the game. So I think all being well, if we can compete with them in the pack, and I think their pack looks stronger than it's been in the past. And I'm not too sure we've got the right balance. There's a couple of players missing from that pack that may have been selected. Luke Thompson probably being one of the biggest names who's played in the NRL, very experienced front row forward, not selected. So assuming the others can fill that void and they do very well, can we match their intensity for that 80 minutes? And can our halves compete with their incredible halves? That for me is where the game will be won and lost.
So at half, we've got Cameron Munster. He's a half back and decent backline operator. And obviously, then you've got the magician, you've got Nathan Cleary with, somebody who will control the tempo of the game. His kicking game is phenomenal. The way he reads the game. I think you're right that, their halfback partnerships, can Mikey Lewis and whoever we put in at six, maybe, or seven. Are we strong enough against them too?
Um, well, Mickey Lewis is an incredible talent, so I'm very confident in his ability, and I think he wants to. He's focused, and he'll want to prove himself on that big stage. It's a big jump for him. It may be too early to expect him to be the standout, but he's that determined. He's that focused. That's certainly a chance. I wonder if they'll play him on the bench. So I would start with Williams and Smith. I'm a big fan of Smith, the way he controls the game, his kicking game. He's a controlling scrum half who I think will go well and help move us around. Is Williams or Mickey Lewis the right choice? Will they start with Williams but then bring Mickey Lewis on as a change player? Or will they go with Williams in the first game and pick four forwards on the bench? And if we don't win, that's probably an easy change they can make. I'm trying to second guess what he'll go with. I think I'd probably try and be brave. I'd start with Smith and Lewis with Wellesby at full back. I think he'll play safe with George Williams though.
If it's a forwards game and the forwards are getting on top, Mikey Lewis running off the shoulder of Walmsley, if he can put a ball out or something like that, that's where we're gonna make dents in the Australian defence. It's where we're gonna find gaps. It's where we're gonna, but we've got to break that chink in that armour to do that.
The forwards have to match up. It'd be interesting to know who he starts with. Will he use Walmsley as an interchange? I think he'll probably be better in that position at this stage of his career. And, I've mentioned the age of these players, but he's in exceptional physical condition. His body probably aches a lot more than it did 10 years ago. But he only needs to play well for two games
Yeah.
to win the Ashes. We only need two games out of him. We're not looking for a career. We're not looking for a season. You're good enough to step up for 2 games, definitely. And if he's fit enough and he's coming off the bench, hopefully he'll be devastating. Is something different off the bench. I don't know who he's going to start with. We've got a couple of young forwards, and even Havard, who's a very good player, Mikolaj Oledzki.
Yeah,
You may start with Mikolaj. The other, what other props do we have? Oh, we've got Mike McMeekin, who's had a very good season.
yeah.
Matty Lees, who's exceptional. I think he's probably one who'll make a difference,
Yeah.
and will need to stay. Will need to stay and remain at the high levels that he sets for himself. If he can do that with Morgan Knowles at loose forward, who's an exceptional player, he's going over to the NRL, and I think he'll really suit the way they play. So that balance might be right with Morgan at loose forward, Matty Lees, and maybe Mikolaj Ledski starting props with Walmsley, McMeekin. I'll probably start with McMeekin and Lees and bring Ledski and Walmsley off the bench. There's a few options there. We feel a bit more confident, I think, about our pack. I think the issues and the questions are more around the three quarters, the Aussie three quarters are exceptional. And as good as ours are, can they compete with them? That is such a big ask.
And where they going to put Watkins? Are they going to put him at centre?
No, I don't think they can. I don't think he's got the pace. He's played the last few seasons in the back row, done very well. I was surprised to see him in the squad as good as he is. I think you've got James Batchelor, who was exceptional for Hull KR in the back row. Elliot Minchella. There's other back rowers who I thought would have got the nod, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. It'd be interesting to know who he picks from that squad and what balance he wants and who he wants off the bench. Because
Yeah.
that'll all play a part in it. I think we've only got 2 hookers, haven't we? Jez Litton and Darryl Clark.
Again, quite worrying that. Litton's played well. He's had a fantastic season. He's had a lot of rugby. He's had some big impact games in that. Clarkie's good and fast. He'll exploit the ruck as much as he can. I don't think he's going to get that room though with the Aussies there. Is Clarkie, is Clarkie good enough? And his age,
I think they may change the style he plays. Certainly in his younger career, his earlier career, he was a runner. He would be devastating running from half. He's now a bit older. I think Jez Litton plays that style of game off the bench. I think Jez Litton's on the bench. I think they start with Darryl Clark
to get the
and he
ball out.
does longer minutes. He does more tackles, very high tackle count. He's pushing the ball out. He's not being the runner anymore. There's a couple of hookers who probably would have got that shout. Mickey McIlorum would have played if he'd been fit and not retiring. He played in the grand final with a broken ankle. I think he would have started and maybe still had Jez Litton on the bench. So I think the last Darrell Clark's played a different style game to what we're used to. He's learned to do a job in the middle, high tackle count, good distribution, and then let Jez Litton do the running when he comes on.
For the Aussies, then, I mean, they're being led up. I think the captain's going to be Yeo, a big, you know, strong forward, great leadership. His work rate himself is phenomenal. Um, do you think he's going to have a big impact for the Aussies?
Yeah, he's played for Penrith Panthers well over 250 games, played in big games, won grand finals. This is the elite of the elite. He will have played against sides at least as good as England in the NRL comp. What we hope for is the pride in the badge, the history of the Ashes. We can get an extra 10% out of every single player. So even though they play at a high intensity week in, week out, and you could mention Yeo, you could mention another 20 forwards who will all be exceptional. I wouldn't let Australia down at all. But we're hoping on home ground, starting at Wembley next weekend, it's going to be a opportunity for those players to raise a game. They may never get another chance at the Ashes. Wayne will have them pumped up. I don't see a problem in any of that. I think it will come down to small decisions, a little bit of ability. The ground that the Aussies can cover in defence will we'll have to go some to score tries. There's not going to be many points on offer unless the Aussies have really got it wrong. Wembley might be the best chance to get a win. If we don't win Wembley and we're asking our players to raise it for the next two, I think we'll lose the series.
Right.
If we win the first one, where the Aussies may be a bit undercooked, so they've had the travelling, it's a different environment. It's at Wembley. We get a good crowd there, and it's looking like a very good crowd. The other two being sellouts at Everton and Headingley, Leeds. That's what may make the difference. You can mention as many players as we like with the Aussies, but they're going to be exceptional. They're
Yeah.
going to be exceptional. There's absolutely no doubt. Part of that team talk should be under no illusions. You're playing against elite athletes and the best of the best. They're going to be exceptional, clever. Not just exceptional at their ability. They've got the best of the best ability wise, but the conditioning is exceptional. They played high intensity very often. They really were the Australian jersey, so they'll just be as proud of wearing that jersey as our boys will be wearing England. You've just got to hope they're a bit overconfident and the environment gets them,
Yeah.
and then we've got a chance. All things being equal, if we played them 100 times, they'd win a lot more of those games than we would. But we're only playing them in three over here in the dark. Let's hope it's wet, awkward, horrible, and the crowds are on the back, and we can give them a game.
Well, it's forecast snow in London at the weekend,
Excellent, brilliant news.
so there's chances that
Yeah,
that cold wind will, will be whistling round Wembley Stadium.
yeah. We should bring some in if there isn't. Let's get some in from Scandinavia and put
Yeah.
it all over the pitch. Yeah,
If not,
let's
we can
make
have a
the
snowball fight.
put the air conditioning on in the changing rooms for the
Yeah.
Aussies, so they're nice and cold, and but that will help us. And yeah, I think my biggest worry is our pack will be pumped and too focused on knocking the heads of the Aussies off, and less focused on trying to win the game. The Aussies are so clever; they will soak that up. They'll take a beating, fine, beat us up, jump on us, do what you want, and then we'll run round you when you're tired or give penalties away because you're too fired up. That's where we will lose the game.
I mean, if anyone is going to build and pump that inner chimp, it's going to be Sean Wayne, isn't it? He's renowned for it. In for it. I mean, look at the Ben Flower moment, and if you remember our show with Ian Smith, and he was telling us he was walking around the corridors before that grand final, and he likes to soak up the atmosphere. But what stood out to him was Sean Wayne, bang, absolutely inflating the inner chimp of the Wigan side, particularly Ben Flower. And look how that ended. What we don't want is another Adrian Morley moment, do we?
No, no, we all want them to be fired up, and that's Sean Wayne's earned his stripes with that, and I think he's deserved his opportunity. But his reputation will lie on this Ashes series. It will all come down to this. You've built towards it, you've wanted it, you've wanted your own development as a coach, and you've got to the pinnacle, leading out the national team in a three-game Ashes series, starting in our nation's capital. So it doesn't get much bigger than that. He should be 10 foot tall with pride, and hopefully he instills all that pride in the players. And I've no doubt whatsoever they will. That is not a worry at all. The point you touch upon is, will it be too much?
Mm.
That is a worry. Will we be too fired up? Let's hope he's wise enough now. He's been around a long time. Hopefully, he's learnt from those incidents as a coach, and the team benefit from his own development as a coach. I'm hopeful. I do think he's the right person for the job at this moment in time because he's earned it. But it's going to be an acid test these next three matches on his coaching, his ability to get them up for it, not just pumped up, but are they going to play the right tactics? Is he going to get the balance right? Hopefully, there's a lot of people around him who can help him with that as well. He's not just on his own.
I'm gonna throw you under the bus here because you mentioned something before, and it was a really interesting point. If England were in the NRL as a team, Where would they finish?
Top half, top half first year, but maybe just they'd improve year on year. See, it's the weekly intensity that differs, but that doesn't count for a lot necessarily in a three-match series because you're not playing at that intensity for 30 rounds. You're playing at that intensity for three. So back to my point about the over 30 players, they're not doing this week in, week out. You're doing it for three. And if you know this may be your last chance, you're coming towards the end of your career, leave it all out there. Leave it all out there. You may as well. You've nothing to lose.
So for the mathematicians out there, then how many times does 30 go into three? That's what we want to know. How many times does 30 go into three? Can they do it? Can the 30s club
Yeah. And
club?
I think Luke Thompson, who I would have expected to say, I think Luke's about 30 as well, but he's only just 30. He's still 5 years younger than some of the others. You've
What,
got Junior
what,
Insemba, who's a
yeah.
back row forward, who's not made it. He was exceptional last year. I think his form dropped a bit this year. It's still very good,
Mm.
and I would have still expected to see him in the squad, maybe not starting, because you're developing him for later. Jake Connor and Elliot Minchella that I mentioned before. In the backs, the three quarters, we've got Joe Burgess. I think he's about 32. Again, exceptional player. He's tall, and I think he's good under the high ball, which might be why he selected him ahead of Tom Davis of Hull KR, who's had a brilliant season,
Yeah.
absolutely brilliant, and he's been overlooked. So I suspect it's something to do with the height of the wingers because they'll be under a lot of pressure. They'll be
Well,
fielding a
clearly,
lot
yeah.
of balls.
It clearly will definitely be putting a lot of kicks up and challenging kicks, testing balls out there.
Got Tom Johnson, another 30,
Uh,
31, is he? 30?
what's Brimson, isn't he? Can he play on the wing?
Three
Oh, he's
quarter, I think. You got Dom
fullback,
Young.
isn't he? Would he put Brimson at fullback?
I think you've got to pick Wellesby, haven't you?
Yeah.
Jack Wellesby's got to be full back, unless he plays him in the halves, and I think he's much more comfortable at full back.
Yeah. Harry
I'd rather see
Newman.
Jack at full back. I'd rather see your halves being Smith. He might go Williams and
Well, he's gonna
Lewis.
have Dom Young. Dom Young's going to be one of them, isn't he?
So Dom Young and Burgess then. Are we
Ah,
going with them too?
yeah.
Right. What about your centres then? What about Herbie Farnworth?
Herbie
Got to
Farnworth.
be a banker.
Yeah.
Harry Newman.
Would you not put Herbie Farnworth at loose?
No, I think Morgan Knowles will tie up loose. And then I don't know who out the Oh, Jake Wardle.
Yeah, Jake Wardle's in there. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's hard to pick through those. Again, I think Jake Wardle's a steady player, so he may be a safe bet as opposed to someone like Harry Newman,
I think
who's
Wardle.
excellent.
Yeah. I think Wardle's had a really good season, and he's a bit more tougher. He's got that. I think he'll take the intensity a bit better.
I think he's got the body shape of a forward, so he's built like a back row at least.
He'll at the back row, definitely. Yeah.
But a lot of the Aussies now, when you look at the body shapes, they look much more like sprinters than bodybuilders.
Yeah.
They're not necessarily size, they're muscular like a sprinter is, like
Yeah.
an athlete, not like a bodybuilder type
Yeah.
muscle
They are
size.
all athletes, aren't they?
Yeah. And where Harry Newman isn't doesn't have the same big body shape, but he's certainly strong enough and he's very quick. His temperament has been hit and miss at times, which I think it holds him back.
Mm.
I think he would improve if he could concentrate more and let things that go on around him go past him and not get tied up with those. If he could maintain his focus, he's an exceptional athlete, great player. So I'd like to see him involved, I think. If we're going to go for it, if we're going to take risks, Harry Newman's the type of player you pick. If you want to play it safe, Jake Waddle's the type of player you pick.
Yeah. So where'd you put Brimson then?
I don't pick him.
Right.
Don't pick him. No.
Not think he's got enough experience.
Well, I haven't seen a lot of him, but if I think I've got the talent here already, I'm going to use the talent I've got. Yeah, it just leaves us then the back rowers. Who would you pick in the back row?
Yeah.
Um,
Kai Pierce-Paul's in there as well.
Morgan Smithies.
It's both good. Owen Trout is played well for Lee. I like
He's been
Owen.
excellent. More of a front rower, I think, but he's been excellent. He might be on the bench,
And if you're not putting Bateman in the centres, you could bang him in the second row, couldn't you?
so he could be one second row. So you've got Smithies, Bateman, Kai Pace-Paul.
Yeah.
Certainly is. I would probably go Kai Pace-Paul and Morgan Smithies.
Yeah.
Um, and then put four forwards on the bench.
Yeah.
And if Bateman was one of your forwards on the bench, if you're down the back, you can cover in the centres.
Right. Well, there you go. You heard it here first. If Dave was the England coach, that's his
Yeah.
team. I think
Tell
that.
Sean Wayne give us a shout. We'll help out with selection for him. Not a problem. And we'll win the first one, definitely. And we'll win at Everton. And we'll not be bothered at Edinburgh. We'll just give that away. We're not bothered.
Because we'll have it won.
Yeah, just pick a load of. We'll get rid of the squad and just bring in a few lads from Blackbrook, a couple from Thataway, Wigan St Jude's,
Bring on
Wigan
stuff.
St Pat's, Holton Hornets, Siddle, and they'll give them a good going over.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Down with the Aussies.
that's it.
I think would you give a Willsey and Walker team talk?
Yeah, yeah. But tell you what I've got here. We've got the Dockhouse Rugby Show dog. He's come to say hello.
There's Buddy,
Buddy, the Dockhouse dog.
Dockhouse dog.
Buddy, the Dockhouse dog, aren't you? You're a good lad. You go for a run.
So, my question to you then, in the comments, don't forget to click like and subscribe. It's free to subscribe. It just means you get informed when we've got another show out, and we've got a good guest lined up for in the next sort of like week or two, who's going to come on with us as well. Um, and yeah, do you agree with Dave? Do you think the 30 club can do it over Australia in the Ashes series? Is that a bridge too far? Have we got too many aging players in there? What are your thoughts? Bang it in the comments on the YouTube channel. We'd love to hear from you. And myself and Dave will come back and we'll comment with you as well. We'll reply to any comments that you've got and any thoughts that you've got. Who would your starting 13 be? Bang that in the comments. Let's have a look who you think should make that starting lineup and who would be on your bench for England in the Ashes. And then score predictions as well for the three tests. So on Saturday, the 25th of October at Wembley is our first test. What's your score prediction? On the 1st of November, we head over to Bramley-Moore Dock in Liverpool, home of Everton. Dave's a toffee. He'll be happy with that one. What's your score prediction for that second game? Will that be the decider? Will one team seal the deal on the Ashes on that second game? And will it just be a formality then at Headingley on the 8th of November? What's your score predictions for each game in the series and your overall winner? And who do you think is going to be your standout player and who needs to step up? We'd love to hear from you. Dave, anything more on the Ashes?
Just to say, let's go and win it.
Let's go and do it. And on that note, thanks for watching and stay tuned. We'll see you next time.